Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Dawn, and I'm a Class 1 flight instructor up here in Canada. And you are either a flight instructor or a flight training student, or you know one of the two, and they need to see this video. It's about things that instructors do to fast learners, okay? So every instructor that has even been teaching for 6 months at some point has had a very fast learner. They're going to have the students that take extra time. Me, the very slow learner, I have to repeat something in my head 5 or 6 or 10 times before it gets in, but lucky for me, it never leaves. Okay. But the fast learners are the ones that can take in the information, immediately relate it to something else that they've done before, and then make the mental connection. I've got this, I understand it. The fast learners are also the ones that are so energetic and so curious about everything that they dive into the books, they inhale all of the information, and they can spit it back out at you really, really fast. Okay, so it's obvious that they get it. Now, in the first 10 hours of training, like this is all pre-solo, when an instructor, especially junior instructors, have these fast learning students, the tendency is to go, okay, great, let's move on. Oh, this is so exciting. Let's move on. You've got it. Let's move on. You've got that. Let's move on. Now it's time for another thing. And now it's time for another thing. But what this actually does to your student, it is a great boost of confidence. And it prevents boredom because there's always more to learn. There's always more to study. But what you're actually doing to the student is preventing them from building habits. You are essentially forcing a plateau pre-solo at some point where their confidence is then going to crack and come crashing down. Let me give you an example. I know of someone right now who fits this profile. I've done this to these students in the past, but I know of someone right now doing their private pilot training right now. They have a total of 5 hours, and they're already onto lesson, or sorry, rather exercise 14. Okay, they're already way out there. Now, they started with attitudes and movements. Got it. Let's move on. They go to straight and level and trimming and turns, left and right turns, medium and gentle turns. Got it. Move on. Let's go. And then they get into climbs and descents, both basic and rated climbs or specialty climbs and descents. Got it. Let's move on. Okay. And then they go to range and endurance, because that's what we do up here in Canada before slow flight, because it makes sense with the progression of the theory and the power curve, but that's besides the point. So they go into range and endurance. Got it. Move on. And slow flight. Got it. Move on. And it happens that all of these brand new exercises are being paired up into one flight. If the person has 5 hours and is on exercise 14, then obviously 2 or 3 brand new items are being presented and probably not properly PGI'd on the ground first. And then the student shows up ridiculously prepared. They can spit the material back at the instructor. It's clear that they understand, and they zoom into the airplane, they get it done. The student actually demonstrates that they understand what's happening. They can do it roughly. Time to move on. And then whether it's the student, and students, if you're watching this, if you're the student that's pushing the instructor, let's move on, or you're the junior instructor who doesn't understand habit building and progression, and you're moving on quickly, oh, they get it. We don't have to waste time on this stuff. We can get into the circuit right away. Problem is that trimming is a habit. Attitude flying metrics are a habit that need to be practiced and built. Checklists are a habit. Pilot decision making is a habit. All of this habit building cannot be done if you're flying, pun intended, through the material. And so it's going to get to a point where you either scare yourself, you scare your instructor, or you plateau in such a way that it destroys your confidence pre-solo. Yes, there are some private pilot students that can absolutely solo in less than 10 hours. It is likely that those students have been flying with somebody else in the right seat as a passenger for eons. Okay. Even as an instructor, when I taught air cadet programs, these kids that are sponges for information, they would show up with a glider pilot's license. So arguably they know how to fly. And then you put them into a power situation, powered flight situation, and we still have to give them 48 hours. Now, anyone in the FAA following countries, you'll understand that we don't have a division between Part 61 and Part, 141, whatever the specific school is down there. We only have one license, which is essentially all Part 141. Okay. So it has to be done in a very structured, very lengthy way. And I personally agree with it. I don't know if you do or not. However, even these kids, these glider pilots that show up, they did their glider license like last summer. They've been flying and teaching in tow planes since last summer. They show up to get their power license. They still take 48 hours, even though the governmental minimum is 45 hours, because there is brand new habits to be built. If you speed through the first couple of lessons without ensuring that your student can properly see the metrics of the horizon flying, of attitude flying. This is normal cruise at a high power setting. Okay. This is normal cruise at a high cruise power setting. This is normal cruise at a low cruise power setting, say in the circuit, right? They have to understand the visual differences. If your student, and this is my son's toy, which is why it's missing so many parts, but if your student is either doing slow flight or any nose up attitude, any climb, and they cannot see the left turning tendency of that aircraft because they cannot match the nose with the clouds outside, which is attitude flying, they haven't developed the habit of using the visual metrics. They have to measure, they have to know what they're looking at. And that can't happen through just instantaneous understanding. It is a habit to constantly look there. It is a habit to hold that nose attitude at the perfect spot, either in climb or normal cruise or descent, and then trim to relieve the pressure. You can only let go once you think is there no pressure? If I let go, is the nose going to rise or fall? That's how trimming works. You can't trim to move the nose because you're just going to be flying like this the whole time, right? It's a habit to trim properly that you have to get into the muscle memory in the practice. If you do everything pre-solo within the first 6 hours, they don't have muscle memory. They might be able to tell you what to do. They won't be able to automatically do it in a dangerous situation. Slow down. If there's one piece of advice that I could give all instructors who haven't had the experience of having this fast learner student come to a crashing halt or a crash, right? Or any of those fast learning students who just want to push their instructor, you're holding me back, you're milking me. Sometimes that's not lots of times that's the case. Sometimes that's not the case. They're not milking you. They actually want you to get proper training. Stop pushing them, right? And if you don't know which is which and you need more advice, then come join my top instructor group. Okay. And student group. Anyways, but that's the fun. I'm not here to get people into there. I just want this to stop amongst instructors and fast learning students around the world. The first 10 hours of your training is critical to not speed through it. Yes, you probably understand it. Yes, you can probably, demonstrate it or pull it off once or twice. But the muscle memory that you're forming is critical for safety in everything solo and afterwards. Okay, so I hope that helps. And I got nothing else to say for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Go kick some ass. Bye.